Anthony and I starting our podcast journey. Finally, we've been talking about it for a while.
Finally,
we're just gonna be focused on real estate and life in general.
Yep.
We're gonna have a lot of cool special guests on the show. Give people an opportunity to kind of share their story.
I think we did just over $1 million the first year we were in business together, which was awesome.
Bought it for $30,000 and I think put like 15 or 20,000 into it. And what did we sell for, like 105?
Yeah, it's something like that. Right?
And back then you felt like you hit the lottery, right? It's like you just, that was huge. Leadership is a privilege, right? And I think a lot of leaders take that for granted, and I think putting your people first, at the end of the day, we put our people first, right? And the byproduct of that is, at the end of it, hopefully we make some money out of it. But, our focus is, our people making a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's, a special position to be in. So we're lucky for that. All right, welcome everyone to the Real Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Furman.
And I'm your other host, Anthony Slane.
And today, Anthony and I starting our podcast journey. Finally, we've been talking about it for a while.
Finally.
Dude, this is a great setup.
This is a great setup. I don't think it could have been better. Yeah.
It's meant for a podcast studio.
Yeah, exactly. We've always said it.
You sponsored by Celsius yet?
Not yet. I honestly should have poured this in like a glass, so they're not getting the credit, but I will say I do love Celsius.
Anyways, wanted to start a podcast series. We're just going to be focused on real estate and life in general.
Yep.
We're going to have a lot of cool special guests on the show. Give people an opportunity to kind of share their story, and whatnot. And then also kind of, I know we're big on helping people, right, and educating. And I think, using this platform to kind of give people advice on what to do, what works in, business and in life, and also what doesn't work, because we've been through a lot, and whatnot. So I think, let's just kick it off, man. And I think, for those of you who don't know Anthony, just, bring us closer to who you are and kind of your journey, how you got started.
Yeah. So my intro to real estate was getting my real estate license. At the time, I just knew I wanted to get into it, right? Like I just knew I wanted to get into real estate. And at the time, all I knew was, okay, let's just go get a real estate license, right? I think that's everyone's kind of first train of thought when they don't know anything about real estate. So I got my real estate license, and within a year of that, learned the concept of wholesaling.
What year was that? When did you get
that? Was 2018.
2018?
Yeah, 2018 was when I learned about wholesaling. And, it takes a little while, right? Like, especially back then, like there's not as much free content out there and stuff as there is today. So someone who I do give a lot of credit to is Brent Daniels. He was one of the pioneers of teaching people how to wholesale. Daniels. Yeah, shout out to Brent Daniels.
You were on his podcast, right?
I was on his podcast, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. We actually flew down to Phoenix for that, and then drove to Vegas after that, which was a good time too. Got into wholesaling. It takes a while, especially with limited information, to really figure out the process. And, as there's so many moving parts in a wholesale deal. And to someone who's new, it can definitely be a challenge. Yeah. So, started to get some deals under my belt and started to get some traction. And then that's when I partnered with James. So me and James kind of got together and tried to make a business work, because he has experience in the moving business, and he grew a really nice moving business. So the reason we did that was we just sort of wanted to just try to grow, right? That's been my whole focus the entire time I've been in the business, was like, I just want to grow. I want to grow a team, and I want to have a good time doing it.
Was there any, were there any synergies between the moving company and the real estate? Like, did you guys kind of intertwine that?
Not really. So James was really successful with PPC, still is. So he does a lot of PPC for moving. And my thought process was, James, let's work together with your PPC guy and let's run a campaign around this in our market. Yeah. And
that was the only, is that all he does is PPC?
That's for moving, as far as I know. Yeah. I don't know that well, but I know he gets a lot of referrals, because I think he has the most 5-star reviews out of anyone in Cleveland for moving. So
shout out to James.
Shout out to James. And then, James and I just parted ways in a good way. We're still, great friends to this day. And then Sal and I kind of got together, and that's when me and Sal, really started ramping it up, right? I think we did just over $1 million the first year we were in business together, which was awesome. But our partnership just kind of got to a point where, we were kind of going two different directions. Sal had a lot of other ventures going on, and just kind of respectfully, we just kind of went our separate ways. And again, Sal's another one of my closest friends to this day. So yeah, after that, obviously we partnered up, right? Yeah. So that was where we kind of got together and said, hey, with your background and with my background, I think we can really grow something special here. So you want to speak a little to your background?
Yeah. So my background in real estate kind of started down in South Florida, as you know, down in Miami. After high school, I went to college for a year. First semester, Baldwin Wallace, second semester, Cleveland State. And, at the time I thought the school was the problem, right? And I just think school in general for me, just wasn't my thing, right? I think the biggest thing for me with school, the traditional education path is, I'd like to think I'm a creative person, think outside the box, right? And feel like, the agenda pushed on you in school is, it kind of takes away your creative ability, right? You have to follow set rules and yada, yada. And I just never thrived in that environment. But I also left because I had an opportunity to move down south and work for my family. We had a company called Cleami. What we were doing is we were finding distressed properties throughout Miami, putting some renovation efforts into them and renting them out.
How were you finding those deals at that time?
Just through, we had a couple connections, a couple guys down there who were already established, who were, already had somewhat of a portfolio, and they were just hustling out for deals, mostly off market. I forgot how they were, sourcing them when we went down there, but just kind of followed them. I learned a lot from those guys, Tim and James. And, obviously I didn't have any money at the time, just out of college. And so I was working on through sweat equity. So didn't have any money, and I was just getting 20% carries on these properties in exchange for, finding the deals, running the construction, managing the tenants, collecting rent, all that stuff. And at the time it was just great timing because back then, we were buying these properties for $250,000, say, right? We'd put $100,000 into them, average cost basis of, $300,000 to $400,000. Fast forward, 4 or 5 years later is, traded out of those, and I got my 20% carry. Decided to leave Miami, move back to Cleveland with the money I had, and wanted to start my own thing. So I started a company called CLE Development Group. And, the investment thesis there was to buy mostly houses in the suburbs, single-family homes in the suburbs, rent them out, did a little renovations, and then that kind of carried over into a company called Liminal that a couple of my brothers and I started. And the philosophy there was buying distressed multifamily properties in more metro-focused areas. Mm-hmm. We built a portfolio of close to 100 doors and have since traded out of that and moved holdings more over into kind of industrial / flex product. And then, now you and I a few years back merged, as your background's in wholesaling, mine's in more so rentals and flipping and construction, right? So we teamed up and created this, created Quick Direct Sale, which has been incredible. And I think the thing for me is, though I had some success as you did separately and, through Liminal and Cleveland Development Group, I think the thing for me was I almost felt a little unfulfilled, right? Because my passion is helping other people. So I think when we created this company, I was so excited because I know our values kind of aligned, where it's like, hey, we've had some success. Let's go merge together and build a business, build a company, put people in positions to succeed and do the things that we've done. And that's been special, man. It's been awesome.
It definitely has been. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of, what you're talking about, just as far as just helping other people and just that feeling you get from it and just truly seeing someone else succeed is a lot of the reason why we want to start this podcast and start putting more content out there. It truly is a great feeling. We love seeing other people succeed, and we try to do that every single day within Quick Direct. And now through you guys, we want to just put some really good content out there and just try to help everyone. Whether you're a seasoned investor or whether you're just looking to get your first deal, we want to be able to add some value to your life as well.
Yeah. What was your first real estate deal? Was it the Grafton Road? I mean, that was when you had your license, right?
Yeah.
So that was your first
That was my first like true transaction. That wasn't my first wholesale deal, but just being in real estate, just getting my license, that was my first one.
Yeah,
so funny backstory on that house, right?
Yeah, so that's the first, I think that was the first house I flipped when I moved back here.
Yeah.
And I bought it on auction. I still didn't know what I was doing really, but it came home like a week after being home. I bought this house in Grafton, Ohio on Alton, was it?
Alton Drive.
Alton Drive, yeah. And bought it for $30,000 and I think put like 15 or 20,000 into it. And what did we sell it for, like 105?
Yeah, it's something like that. Right.
And back then you felt like you hit the lottery, right? It's like you just, that was huge. And that kind of snowballed into doing more deals. But yeah, that was awesome. I remember where we were at too. We celebrated that sale.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
What about your first wholesale deal?
Was it
funny. Was it when you were with James or prior?
No. So like initially learning by myself, it was actually in Clark Fulton in Cleveland. It was a property that, oh man, to be honest with you, I can't even remember who ended up buying that property, but I cold called them, right? That's how I got into wholesaling, was cold calling. And honestly, like if you're looking to get into wholesaling and real estate in general, cold calling is the most cost-effective way for you to get in, right? If you don't have much money to put out there, you can get a list of some absentee owners, some vacant properties, and you can get a dialer and you can be up and running very cost-effective. And so that's what I did, right? I got the Mojo dialer. I threw a list in there and I just started calling. And honestly, it's like the craziest thing when you first start cold calling people and you're not used to it and you're not, it's just like,
you get the fuck yous,
you get all that, right? And it's just like the amount of people that you talk to and just like endurance that you build up, right? Like once you get told no so many times, and this is a business that you get told no a lot in, right? So once you get told no so many times, you just build up this thick skin and you're just like, man, I don't care what I hear. The next no just takes me closer to a yes.
Yeah.
Right. So I just kind of built up that mentality as I was calling through, and I connected with someone. And at the time, I think I got this property in Clark Fulton for like 20 grand, and it was like close to a turnkey house, and I made like 5 grand on it. Right. And I just remember turning around and being like, wow, like I did it.
Yeah.
Right?
There's something here.
Yeah.
Too,
There's
right?
something
like,
here. Exactly. Yeah. So that sort of snowballed it. Once you have that proof of concept, like you've done it before and you've seen the result, you're just like, oh, I'm all in on this now.
Yeah, for sure.
I
think like just wholesaling in general is so interesting to me too, because again, with my background being in flipping, right, is like there's a lot of risk involved, right? You have to risk a lot of capital for the return. And it's like with wholesaling, it's incredible. It's like you opened my eyes to it. And, it's like you don't have to put up the cash, right? You're spending marketing dollars, right? But it's like, I mean, we just recently it was like 55 grand on a duplex on the west side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I mean, just wholesaling it, right? Never closed on it, which is pretty, I mean, that's a massive spread for a west side duplex.
For sure.
Was it a duplex?
Yeah, it was a duplex.
Yeah.
It was a duplex. And this is some more sauce, right? So when you're talking to a seller, and this is how we were able to get such a big deal, and this is how you'll be able to get bigger deals in general, is you always want to ask the seller first, hey, what are you looking to get for this? Like what'll make you happy parting ways with it, right? Because if he was asking me, I would have threw out a number much higher than what he threw out there. Right?
That was through cold call, right?
No, that was a Facebook lead.
Facebook?
Yeah. That was a Facebook lead.
But to your point, and we'll get into this in later episodes and whatnot, but like we're talking about doing more PPC, right? And that's the beautiful thing about PPC is like, they're reaching out to you. So you can really leverage that. Hey, what do you want for this property, right? Like you reached out to me. What do you want?
Yeah.
Versus when you're doing outreach is like, you say, hey, what do you want for this property?
You called me. What do you
exactly.
know? Yeah. So, cold calling, it's, when you're building a business, I know a lot of good people that have built, strong businesses around it. But at the end of the day, if you really want to talk to a true motivated seller, you want them to call you. You can find them. Yeah. You just gotta be lucky that you're calling at the right time that they're looking to make a move.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, the inbound strategy where when you're more inbound focused, like through PPC or Facebook, whatever it is, I feel like that's when you're building an 8-figure, real estate business, right? Versus like, I mean, we've been doing a mix of both, right? And I think we're, in the process now of taking our business to that next level where we're kind of shifting from a blended inbound, outbound strategy to all inbound, right? And letting sellers come to us. And I think, we talk about scaling, and I know we'll get into this on future episodes, and we'll leave this as more as of an intro. But that's kind of it's just our theory, right? Is like just being more inbound focused. It's just more scalable.
Definitely. So I guess to bring you guys a little closer, right, to kind of what we want to do and what we want to put out there. I know I said we just want to put some more good content out there, right? So as far as like, if you're someone looking to get your first deal, or if you're looking to scale up and start doing more deals, we're going to be talking a lot about that, a lot about how to take your business to the next level. Cause we've done it ourselves, we've been through it. Nick and I have been in real estate for, going on a decade now, and we've truly seen a lot of ups and downs in this business. There's a lot of ups and downs. We've definitely rode the waves, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to pivot in this business. You got to be able to, change on a dime and adapt, right? And I think especially now with what we're seeing is, with cold calling getting more and more regulated, texting getting more and more regulated, shifting towards a more inbound approach is definitely going to benefit you in the long run. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. What's your favorite thing about Quick Direct?
My favorite thing about Quick Direct.
What do you love most about the business and growing the business and running a team?
Yeah. So
there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of different things that I love, right? There's a lot of different things.
What's at the top?
What's at the top is seeing us land an awesome deal and just seeing the energy in the office, right? Just seeing how pumped up everyone gets, how excited everyone gets.
Which is why we're in office, right?
Yeah.
You could do this virtually, and it's like, I think building the culture, I'll let you finish your answer there, but to your point is like being in the office, that collaborative, the collaborative effort and the culture, right, is like, it goes a long way.
Well, we were just talking about this the other day, right? It's like, in sales and especially in real estate, right, you have ups and downs. There's days where it's like, man, you have a deal fall through and it's just like everything's going wrong, right? You were talking to a seller and now they're saying they don't want to sell, and it's just like, man, it's like the world's coming crashing down, right?
Yeah.
And then you could have days where it's like you're at the highest of highs. You're just landing deals left and right. But on those low days, it's like you just got to be able to stay composed, right? And when you're just by yourself in your house, or you don't have a team around you, those lows can really start to affect you. So that's what I love so much about being in office
100%.
is everyone just uplifts each other, and it's a great culture that we have.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's amazing. I think for me, and you've heard me say this a million times, right, is growing up, not even just growing up, but still today, is like I've been fortunate to, have been given many opportunities in my life, right? And there are opportunities, you still have to act on them, right? But at the end of the day, I've been given a lot of opportunities that a lot of people don't get. So, we talk about our why, right? Is, my why, and the reason I get out of bed every morning so excited is because I genuinely want to help people achieve their goals, right? And see success and, lead a good life for their families and the people that they love. And, I take so much pride in, now being a vehicle and, been given that opportunity to put people in positions to succeed, right? So with Quick Direct and growing a team and running the business, it's special. And I think, leadership is a privilege, right? And I think a lot of leaders take that for granted. And I think putting your people first, at the end of the day, we put our people first, right? And the byproduct of that is at the end of it, hopefully we make some money out of it. But, our focus is, our people making a lot of money, right? Yeah. And I think that's, a special position to be in. So we're lucky for that.
Yeah, it's definitely a special position. And, it doesn't happen overnight, right? You can't really get into a leadership position overnight. You have to you have to have gone through it yourself, and you have to know what to expect. And
you always be outnumbered by your people, right? So if you take care of your people, the rest will follow. And
yeah, exactly. And I think that's, one of the great things about us, I feel like, is we're just able to attract top tier talent. We've seen it with our team right now, and I think we're going to continue to see it going forward. Especially just, the way we try to put everyone else first is important. Not to toot our own horn too much, but I think we truly that's what we look at first, right? Anytime we're modeling something out and we're trying to look at, if we make this switch, what's going to happen? I think we're just looking at, hey, how does this affect our people?
Yeah, 100%. Right? It's the only way, man.
Yeah, it is.
The only way.
It's the only way to sustain anything, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have turnover. 100%. So,
what else, man?
Well, I think
first episode.
first episode. I think we could just tell the people a little bit more about like what they can expect from us going forward.
Yeah, I think what we want to do, like I said earlier, is bring guests on, right, and open it up to allow people to tell their stories. Just today we had someone in the office, right? We asked them, what have they gone through, right? And tell us a little bit about you and your background. And everybody has such a unique story.
Yeah.
So to be able to give a platform for people to come on and just, whether it's just give out advice in the business space and the life space, I think will be special,
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about real estate is there's so many different avenues that you can go down, right?
Yeah.
You can go down the rental route, the fix and flip route, the wholesaling route. You can combine them all. You could be a top producing real estate agent. You can get in development. You can get into land. I mean, there's endless ways to make money in real estate.
Yeah.
It's not that one way is right or wrong. It's just about, what works for you. And I think part of what we're going to dive into when we have different guests on is, hey, like, what does your business model look like and why?
Yeah.
Right? Why does it work for you?
And also, I think what we want to do is open it up to where, in the comments, you guys can, put in there what you want to hear from us, or if there's anything you want to learn or that you want us to talk about, right? As we want to hear from you guys. Because I think it's partly the guests, but also is, spending some time on certain elements of the business. And like I said earlier, is what not to do in business, what to do, what's worked for us, right?
Yeah.
Share a little bit more of our story and, kind of open it up to our real estate business, quick direct sale, and just give out some free dimes,
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to see you guys grow with us. So I know we're just starting out. So please, if you're watching, be active in the comments. Let us know, what you want to hear. Let us know what you don't want to hear, maybe. And we're excited to keep putting some more content out there.
Bada boom.
Bada boom. So I guess we'll end it with that.
Let's wrap it up.
And
we'll be back in about a week or two.
We'll kick it off with a really good guest. So stay tuned and hit that subscribe button.
Let's go.
All right
now.